I miss going to war with my buddies, man. Like, you couldn't find better people to go to war with, and when you finally get to deploy, and it's like the vacation that you're looking for after all that training. I kind of started half-face blades and making knives kind of for fun to get them to my SEAL buddies that are still active duty. Just wanted to have a product, a quality product that like worked really well. And since I've been an end user my whole life, I figured I'd go back to the beginning. I was born up in Northern California, youngest of four, two older brothers, older sister. Grew up in the mountainside above Napa Valley, real outdoor family. Spent my summers running around the woods. Traveled a lot growing up. My dad was a minister and spoke all over the country, different churches and meetings and stuff like that. So I got to travel a lot growing up. From there I wanted to join the SEAL teams from a pretty young age, around 6th, 7th grade, and made that my goal throughout the rest of junior high and high school. When I was looking into the Navy SEALs, I kind of looked at Army Special Forces. I looked at what they had in the Air Force for Special Forces. I looked at the Marine Corps and what they had. And, growing up, we spent a lot of time at the lake, and I always grew up loving the water. In my career in the SEAL teams, one of the biggest things is you get to spend every day with your good buddies, which is just a riot. You're skydiving, breaching, you're doing sniper work, you're doing, these awesome driving schools. You're consistently learning and being challenged, and you're with your close buddies the whole time. I'm talking like top-notch, good operators who should be deploying in really good areas and putting the hurt on bad dudes. When you get hurt and you're out of the fight, for a little while, you're trying to heal up, you're trying to get back to full 100% so you can deploy. That's a little challenging, but luckily, I still deployed every time I needed to. My last injury, I was running MAROPS, which is Maritime Operations. We were doing a hit during the day on a ship in training, and Black Hawk came in, hovered, sideways as we floated along, dropped the ladder down for the first 6 guys to get off. So I went out there, held the ladder, first 6 guys went up, I went back in through the main ship hatch. I stepped through and I turned, counted my guys. As I turned back, the wind from the Black Hawk taking off caught that steel door. Must have got behind that door, and it's like 40, 50 mile an hour wash coming down, and it wasn't latched, so the door slammed and bounced open. But the hinge side of the door, 450-pound steel ship hatch, and I was like, oh, I said a few choice words, and anyway, there was a little cut on the backside, but I just knew they were broken, man. So I took a knee, and I took scissors and cut it off, and I was like, are my fingers gonna be on there? And they were on there. They were just smashed really good, all broken, kind of degloved, kind of pulled down. Luckily on the front side, it had split them all because of the pressure, but none of my tendons got cut on this side. On the back side, all the tendons got cut and all the bones got broken and just crushed. I had to go back and go into surgery and do a bunch of surgery on my fingers for that. And there's not a whole lot you can do. You put pins in to put the bones straight. I think there's grafts you can do for the tendons, but what you really need is those flexor tendons, and I got all that strength back versus extensor tendons, where these two are just ugly and make children cry. I can't straighten them. I think I had 8 or 9 months from then to my end of active service. So being in 10 years, and that's kind of that time frame where you got to make that big decision. Are you going to stay in for another 10 and make a career out of it, or you're young enough when you get out then to start another career? Going through doing all that surgery, I was just like, man, I'm at 10 and a half, 11 years, pull chocks, take my disability, and start another career. Obstacles come in the form of financial stress in general for a lot of guys that get out, and figuring out what they're going to do after they're in the SEAL teams. And I hopped right into working on business stuff. Mine was just learning the civilian world and learning not to trust people. I really didn't have a mentor starting out in business, so it was really new to me and a little bit daunting of all the paperwork side and the legal side and how to run all that. So I kind of just dove headfirst into it and learned on the fly. So I started off under the awning in my backyard. I just did a little research on what the best steel for a specific job. I wanted to do outdoor knives since I love the outdoors and I hunt a lot, and I want to do tactical knives. Since I was in the SEAL teams and I wanted those knives to go out to these different guys. So, I looked up grinders, looked up what type of steel. I already knew different designs from knives I've had and what worked and what didn't. So it just started out with me, and then pretty soon, I did 50 knives, one design, and then I did another design. And by the second design, I just had a lot of people wanting them. So I hired my roommate, ended up hiring my other roommate. I ended up building a shop in my backyard within probably 6 months, 15 by 20, 15 by 22, three little grinders. And I ended up hiring one of my SEAL buddies who had got out in 2005 or so. Hired him. So there was 4 of us at that point. And then we just ended up, I did another design, and the demand was there. And the first 2 years I didn't do a website or anything. It was just pictures on social media of our work and our knives, and then you would contact, and then I think we just emailed invoices or something like that the first couple of years. But it got to a point, it was like, well, if we can take custom orders and make knives for people, then it'd be nice to also make what we want to make and just put on a website. So 2 years into the 5.5 years, we did a website, ended up getting a warehouse, and hired another buddy. So there was 6 of us at that point in time. Within that year, the end of that year, we had kind of grown out of that spot and moved to a 1,900 square foot spot. Ended up hiring about 3 more people. Usually they're friends of friends and buddies I knew before. Ended up having a really good core group of guys. Toward the end of last year, we were just really, had too much going on to really stay in that space, and I wanted to get into making some production knives and get some CNC mills versus hand grind everything. So I believe we're at about 11 people, and I got a bigger warehouse, about 4,200 square feet, and moved over here the last week of December 2019. I think there's about 15 of us. Kind of a year goal or 2-year goal is to get out of California, get a warehouse somewhere with Nevada, some with no state tax, move the production and custom over there, and leave a shop here in San Diego so that I have customs being made here, customs and production being made where I am. 5 years, we'll see, we'll grow it, work on folding knives. I'd like to be in a position with the growth of the production side where someone could come in and want to buy the company. Growing that production side gives me an easier way to evaluate a business and hand something over if somebody wanted to buy it. I find it rewarding making knives, and it's starting from scratch and there's nothing, and then ending up with a beautiful knife that we put in someone's hands, whether it's a chef and they cook amazing food, or whether it's a special forces operator, we put it in his hand and he's taking overseas. So we got that really rewarding part of it.